How are you?
Hey Trae, I'm good. Happy Friday.
Yes, happy Friday. So glad to have you back this month. And last month we were at the beautiful McCall Hall. So I this is your first time on my couch, my
Yes, I'm
friend.
really impressed by this colorful array of pillows. And yeah, it's a really nice setup. Thanks
Well,
for having me.
yeah, of course, got to give a huge shout out every time we mention this set. Got to give it to my girl, Fly Be Unique out there, who makes sure we looking nice and right here. But you have lots of things to share with us. I'll let you start because some spaces are vanishing, some are staying, and it looks like some need our support, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with a couple places that unfortunately have vanished. The first one is Zippys Giant Burgers in White Center. They actually closed last Saturday after 14 years being open. Yeah, they were founded in 2008 in Highland Park by Blaine Lord Zippy Cook, who has been a singer in a lot of legendary local punk and hardcore bands like the Farts and the Accused. And yeah, over the years, it just became a real neighborhood favorite. They had opened another location in Georgetown, which closed a few years ago. I was super bummed about that. And yeah, apparently their closure was due to a lot of challenges, as we, kind of continue to be in this pandemic era with staffing shortages, inflation, and landlord issues as well. And unreasonable landlord was cited. So, yeah, that when the news broke, just droves of people came out, myself included, trying to get a little zip or just some of their one like last delicious burger, and they actually ran out of food early because everyone was trying to, yeah, just come support them, and they ended up having to close a day early just because they didn't have enough food to meet the demand. So I think, yeah, people really showed up, and there were lines across the parking lot. So I think there's a hope that they can somehow come back and reopen somewhere. I would certainly love to see that. But yeah, I think a lot of people were just really feeling the pain of Zippy's closing.
Man, once again, one of those bummers, because I took my kids to Zippy's, and it's so funny. I have a story here about Zippy's because I didn't know anything about Zippy's. Like, I don't go to White Center enough, right? Like, that area just isn't in my kind of drive, so I miss a lot of the gyms there. And my cousin was like, what? It's so astounded. What? You've never been to Zippy's? And I was like, okay, good. Okay, let me go check it out. So this is really a bummer. One of the beloved burger spots, man, that, these are always, kind of those stories where it's sad to hear it. But I will say that I love that people showed up in the droves like that. And the fact that they do have that level of support, maybe some funder out there is like, hold on, how do we bring this back? We always talk about this when I talk to you, but really there's a lot of money in this city. How can we invest in beloved spaces like that? Geez, what's up next?
Yeah. Yeah. So the next spot is Tip and Drag, which was a pub on Beacon Hill, and that closed. It felt like it was a little bit suddenly at the end of last month, and it's been described as a place that felt like drinking in your neighbor's living room, just kind of a neighborhood gem. Kind of like Beacon Hill's Cheers. It seemed like everybody knew each other. There were a lot of regulars. Tip and Drag would throw different events and fundraisers. Are very supportive of the Denise Louis Education Center as its neighbor. They had a great patio out back that was family friendly and pet friendly. A lot of people kind of found refuge there during the pandemic, that they had this, nice outdoor space, super friendly staff, great food. Yeah, amazing sandwiches. So I guess they just, I'm not sure of the details, but I guess they just couldn't find someone to continue to run it. And the original owners had moved out of state at one point just because of these challenges of the high cost of running a small business. And, it's just very hard to run a restaurant or a bar in these times in this city. So yeah, so a lot of people were also, sad about Tip and Drag closing, but it was a really nice spot. And I used to go and, meet up with friends that lived in Beacon Hill there, like at least, once or twice a month. So it was a really great spot. Sad to see it go.
Man, this is one of those things where I don't think people realize the value of spaces like this until they're gone sometimes, unfortunately. And it's one of those things where I'm like, oh man, who knew that the owners were bearing so much of the burden to just try to keep it open, right? And as a consumer or a customer, all we could do is just try to be there, tell our friends about it, like meet up with people there intentionally. But there are these other pressures that oftentimes result in these unfortunate closures. It is a sad thing all around when we see beloved spaces close. And I gotta say, I never went there, but to hear you talk about it being the Beacon Hill Cheers, everyone understands that, like, Cheers is just, that kind of loving space where you can be social and around a lot of people that you know. And even if you go there and you don't know anybody at first, eventually you do when you keep coming back. Oh my gosh, what's up next on the list?
Yeah, so now for some good news in the not vanishing category. So just down the block, there's a place called the Good Arts Building on First and Cherry. It's where the Cherry Street Coffee is. And the building used to be known as a Shoreman block, and it dates back to, I think, like 1898 or 1890. And it's housed a diner, speakeasy, brothels. In the early 70s, it was home to Seattle's first gay community center. It was the home of Skid Row Theater, which was experimental theater for about 10 years. And then in 2011, there were a bunch of artists that were evicted from another building on Western, and they established it as kind of an arts hub and had a lot of art studios. And then in 2015, there's a partnership between some artists and the owner of the Cherry Street Coffee and a developer who decided to buy the building to keep it in use for artists and small businesses. And then just last month, Historic Seattle, which is a local preservation group that worked on Save the Showbox. They also own Washington Hall, along with some other properties in affordable housing. They became a managing partner, so that further cements the building's legacy and then future to continue to be a home for small business and arts and culture. I think they've got like 27 different tenants that, run that gamut. So it's just, nice to see this historic property that's been able to be, used for that and is going to be continued into the future.
It's so funny because you walk past some of these spaces. I walk past it every single day, right? And because it's such a neighbor of ours here in Pioneer Square, and had no idea about the history of this building, and even that the intentionality of having this as an art space for, different exhibits and for artists. That's amazing to know that, now it has this kind of further grounding, right, with Historic Seattle. I've done some work with them, and it's a phenomenal group that's like, no, how do we preserve our spaces, right, and ensure that they are there for the long haul. So I love hearing this, and every time we get to flip it to the not vanishing category, smiles, right. Okay, all smiles. What else isn't vanishing?
Yeah, so I put this one in here for us. There's one that's I'm categorizing it as unvanished, and it's the Belltown Yacht Club. And this is because there's a connection to a place that you and I used to like to go to, which was the Highway 99 Blues Club, which was kind of adjacent to the viaduct, and they lost their space in 2018 because, the landlord kind of displaced them in anticipation of the viaduct being torn down. So the owner, Ed Maloney, became a partner in the Belltown Yacht Club, which is kind of like a sister music venue to the Screwdriver. So they bring in a lot of R&B and blues and rock acts, both local and national artists. I've seen a great show there just very recently. Similar to Screwdriver, it's just decorated ceiling to floor in records and art and rock memorabilia. So it's a really cool spot. And so, I'm looking forward to checking it out with you soon so we can continue that through line of, partying down at Highway 99 Blues Club. And then, we'll have to make a trip out to to the yacht club too.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm so glad when I saw that you were adding this in today. I was just like, yes, because I feel like we've really been carrying on the story of what they're doing there. And the idea that it's really, representing some of that similar legacy of the Highway 99. Like, that is so heartening for me. And we said it last time, okay? We've got to do better about connecting, because I know that there's some dope shows that I've been missing down there. So let me know, because I will make room in my schedule to come and to celebrate this space. I love knowing that, that continuation of, we need venues for our amazing musical acts that are here. And I love that they are doing that work. What else is in Vanishing?
We're gonna make it happen. And then you'll recognize some of the stuff that they brought into the new space too, like the calendar from their last month is hanging up. So it's nice to see those touches.
Well, something needs our support, right, Cindy bro?
Yes. So Glowz Cafe is this very like kind of old Capitol Hill, old Seattle institution. And it's been around since 1987. It's been like practically unchanged. And they've been planning a move to the Broadway Transit Station this fall, which is good. They'll have a bigger space. They've also, are very embedded in community. They've been running community meal programs, or they feed houseless and neighbors and folks in need. They've provided over 7,000 meals since the start of the pandemic. So this was a real bummer, because I had just done a Not Vanishing post just about the history of Glowz and kind of its importance in community and like the, diverse customers that it attracted. And then my next post was a follow-up to share with folks that they had a fire in the alleyway. And so it caused a lot of damage, and they're closed indefinitely. So they already had a lot of, costs associated with moving into this new space, with the build out costs. And now they're going to have, the cost to repair the space, and also their staff, are out of work during this time. So they do have a GoFundMe, and, folks can go donate there or at glowzcafe.com. There's also a link to the GoFundMe in the bio on my Instagram page. So yeah, really encourage folks to support Glowz, and so they can, remain a Seattle institution that, has been loved by the community since the 80s.
Yeah, this is for me. I think, I always start thinking about solutions. Like, every time you're on with me and we have these conversations, it makes me think, why is there not a fund, whether it's at the county, city level, state level, whatever, but a real fund to really disrupt not only the gentrification that we're seeing happen, which is honestly an underlying tone for many of these vanishing spaces that we keep seeing in our city and beyond. But how can we as a state ensure that we're investing in spaces like this to keep that Seattle culture, that Washington culture alive in spaces? We realize too, when, let's say Glowz doesn't get to come back, whatever goes there won't have that same spirit of Glowz. And that right there is how we lose these amazing gems all throughout all of our cities. It's something that I'm like, somebody at the state level, I won't take it to a federal level, but I think this is something we can deal with locally at a state level, that there should be funds where Glowz can be like, even if they had insurance and their insurance only covered so much, how can they get the rest? And so that they don't have to even do a GoFundMe, right? I love the idea of community being involved, but it always makes me think about wider solutions here. And then I start thinking about policy, right? Because that's where my mind goes. Right. It's like, not only is it about advocating for spaces like Glowz, but also creating policy at the state level that allows for spaces like Glowz to continue to thrive. I mean, even all the spaces that you've mentioned today, we realize that, man, having a venue in this expensive city is not easy. It's not easy to maintain it. You got to do all you can to try to promote everything that you have going on, just so that it drums up enough attention and interest for folks to come out. But that can't be all, right? We have to also be thinking about the fact that these inexpensive taxes and rents and, even trying to buy a building, like the exorbitant costs that is the burden of the owner owners of these spaces, how do we as a state really help them and support them? So I just love that, you always bring something new to my mind in terms of all of this. Of course, I got to give you a chance to make sure people can continue to follow Vanishing Seattle and all the things you guys have going on. Make sure our audience knows.
Yeah. So folks can reach me at Vanishing Seattle on Instagram or Facebook, also vanishingseattle.org from my website. And yeah, I don't know, should we mention our upcoming thing on A New Day Northwest next week?
Oh, yes. You and I. This is so exciting. I think, what is it? Tuesday, right?
I think Tuesday morning or maybe 11 a.m. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Tuesday morning. We have to be there early. I don't know what time it actually airs, but you guys be on the lookout because Cindy Bro and Trae Holiday are going to get to sit down with Amity and crew and really dive in deep to one of their chat segments. And I'm really excited about this because as a staple kind of in community, I have my show, and I told Amity that let's start to build relationship. You were on there at one point. I was on there. So I love that they're bringing us back together.
Yeah. Dynamic duo.
Yeah. I can't wait. So I'll be seeing you on Tuesday morning.
We'll see you then. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.